What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2. Now, I had seen this tweet where they're making fun of Gavin Newsom because during this interview with Rachel Lindsay and Van Lathan, he says interesting 10 times when they ask him about AIPAC. He totally starts to like malfunction, like, I can't think of what to say. I can't think of what to say. So I wanted to go ahead and watch this myself. So let's go ahead and get into it. But first, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into it. All right, you guys, so here we go.
I'll ask you something real quick. We've seen just recently what looks like there to be a deal in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. There's a hostage deal, and then there looks to be some framework of a deal where Israel at some point will
two phases. Phase one, which is returning the hostages and depopulating IDF in Gaza, and then phase two, which is the more stubborn and difficult one, ultimately, and making sure that Palestinians are governing themselves and Hamas is out of the picture.
Okay.
I know I watched the whole thing. I just want to say a lot of times Gavin was jumping in before Van was done asking the questions, almost so he can control the narrative. It's a strategy that people do when you want to control the narrative. Before somebody asks you something like they're uncomfortable with answering, they'll try to jump in and take over. And that's what he does a lot.
A huge percentage of likely Democratic primary voters favor restricting U.S. military assistance to Israel until civilian concerns and the rights and self-determination, the rights and humanity of the Palestinian people are sufficiently addressed. Are you in favor of halting military assistance to Israel?
Well, I mean, the timing's a curious one when the precipice of a phase one deal that was announced today and a ceasefire.
Oh, even if this is over.
But I get it.
Yeah.
So look, no, I'm not prepared to say that I would support a blanket exemption for military support of Israel. That said, I've been very vocal in my opposition to Bibi Netanyahu. Said he doubled down on stupid on Meet the Press like a year ago. I'm sitting here on your behalf, you're a taxpayer, as the only governor in the United States that sent a field hospital to Gaza and got it in through a third-party country, and is disgusted by what's happened in Gaza as a human being, as a father, to see these children and how this war has been perpetuated by Bibi Netanyahu. I also have deep respect for the right of the state of Israel to exist and defend itself. And I thought the attack by Hamas was a terrorist attack, and we have to be clear about that as well. When it gets into the nuances, and I know there was a bill in Congress on this, which I was not privy to the details of the bill, where there was an actual vote that on your question. That's one conversation of the specifics that I am not privy to the nuances of that. And my job as governor, but a blanket restriction, I would have a difficult time supporting.
I guess the question is, if there's an admission or an understanding that the prime minister of a country is acting in a way that's either irresponsible, callous, or inhumane, why would we continue to support that country militarily?
I think that's the executive's role, to leverage that. We do that a lot. I mean, that's part of the game of leverage. But to eliminate support across the board is something, to me, is a bridge too far. Conditioning in a thoughtful way with a flexibility of criteria, flexibility with conditions that are changing on an hourly or daily basis or weekly basis as it relates to not just what's happening in Gaza, but what's happening in Lebanon, what's happening in Iran, what's happening in Syria and other parts of the Middle East, is where I think you have to be careful. And I just don't think there's a clean way of answering that without the nuance that I think it deserves.
Okay, so the reason why I didn't want to stop it in the middle of him BSing is because I wanted you to grasp everything that he was saying. So basically what he said was a whole bunch of BS. Him throwing in Lebanon, Syria, and all these other countries, that has nothing to do with what Van is talking about. Van is specifically talking about having restrictions on Israel because they don't seem to listen. Like basically when we tell them no, they don't give a damn. They do whatever they want to. And so you have to have something in place to keep them in check. Just like we have checks and balances here in the US, even though they seem not to be working. But we need some kind of checks and balances because, again, we almost got into a war with Iran when, Israel decided to strike them. Luckily, that was smoothed over within a week or so, but still, our military is strong, our military is powerful. However, we don't want to jump into more wars. That's the whole point. I thought that's why y'all voted for Trump, because y'all didn't want no more wars, right? But anyway, I digress. But, Israel has been known just to be a tyrant in the Middle East, just because they have the backing of us. And so if we say, hey, we're not going for this, or we're not going to allow this, this puts more, Benjamin Netanyahu specifically on notice to be like, all right, well, they're not going to back us in everything that we do, because let's be honest, the Iron Dome, quote unquote, that they have, because it's not actually a dome, but the Iron Dome, most of those bombs that were intercepted when Iran was attacking them was by us, the US. So they need us. We are very powerful in what they do, even though it seems like they control us, which is very weird. How are they controlling us? But we can go down that history a little bit later. But again, Gavin is saying a whole bunch of nothing because he knows exactly what Van is talking about. Well, not a complete embargo on their bombs and stuff like that, because again, they have to defend themselves if somebody was going to attack them. If they knew that all their defenses were down, that would be one thing. Of course, they'd be easy, susceptible for an attack. But at the same token, you have to have some kind of checks and balances on Israel. And it doesn't seem like he was interested in doing that. And trust me, the AIPAC question gets worse.
AIPAC. I will not vote for a candidate that takes $1 from AIPAC.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't thought about AIPAC. And it's interesting. You're like the first to bring up AIPAC in years, which is interesting. Why did I say that? Not relevant to my day-to-day life.
Okay.
Which is just interesting.
Listen,
it's interesting you say that. JPAC perhaps more, but AIPAC less and less.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is just interesting.
What's interesting about it?
That it's just interesting as you bring up AIPAC, that it hasn't been part of. I'm just reflecting quite openly and honestly. Hasn't been part of the day-to-day.
Yeah. The only reason why I ask is because with that, what I'm talking about is lobbying in and of itself. Look, let me be honest with you. The first thing that
Were you not honest this whole goddamn time?
I've been keeping it real with you. I've been keeping it real with you.
Unbelievable.
By the way, just to let you know, just to let you know, they fried my ass.
I always say that, and I'm like, God, I shouldn't have said that.
Just to let you know, they fried my ass on here because I was like, you know who I like? I like the way Gavin Newsom talks to these people and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out right now who I can vote for.
Man, why are you so focused on years and years?
He told you
focus
not
on Prop
focus
50.
I'm
it's
focused
in front of you. Focus on your city council race. Focus on the school board. Focus on you.
I think the thing is that Gavin tries to play this game like, oh, I'm not running. I'm not thinking about that. He's been thinking about it since Joe Biden showed signs that he had a little dementia. Like, he's been thinking about it this whole time. Because let's be honest, he wanted to be the candidate. He was pissed off that Kamala got endorsed by Joe Biden. So then he felt like, oh man, I can't run now. Wake that up.
Get rid of me as governor. Focus on that, man.
We've talked about all of this. I'm focused on.
Like you are so many years ahead.
Gavin,
the world is radically changing.
My big brain. You don't understand.
Take a deep breath.
But can I speak to that real quick? Just real quick. I'll be brief.
Everything's real quick.
I'll be brief. I'll be brief. I'll be concise. You know what? Because this is the reason why. All of the stuff that we've talked about, focus on it locally. You've been so generous with your time. You've answered all the questions, all of that. But also, I look at Chicago and what's happening there.
Yes.
I look at Louisiana. I look at New York. I look at Portland. I look at all of that. And Governor, I want it over.
That's right.
I want it stopped.
Yeah.
I want it over. I want this period of fear, this period of panic, this period of dehumanization. I want it over. And I'm like, how are we going to get it done?
Well, it ain't going to get done in 2029.
There you go.
You got to get done now. I mean, I've been involved in 41 lawsuits. It hasn't even been 41 weeks of this Trump administration. Maybe it has. I mean, we're out there fighting every damn day. We got a judge's decision on the Posse Comitatus Act, Justice Breyer.
See how they didn't push him on that? They just got, oh, it's interesting. You know, it's just interesting. And let me show this, because this is what I've been waiting to show you. So he talked about how he tried to get aid into Gaza and all that stuff. What it actually was is, if you check at the bottom, this is on the California website. California humanitarian aid arrives to help civilians in Israel and Gaza. So it was both. The way that he tried to say, oh, I was the first governor to give funding, or not funding, but medical care to people in Gaza, blah, blah, blah. Well, he did that because he also gave it to Israel as well, too. He did it to both places. So notice he didn't throw that in there because he knew, okay, well, if I go too much pro-Israel, they'll call me out. But also, shout out to my hometown of Oakland, because they were trying to come out. The city council was working on a resolution for a ceasefire back in 2023 when this attack first happened. And Gavin Newsom condemned them because he was all like, oh, they wouldn't call Hamas a terrorist group. And that's what you see, his tweet right there. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They must be called out for what they are, evil. And that's him retweeting or requoting that tweet talking about the city council asking for a ceasefire. So Gavin has more recently, been talking about Benjamin Netanyahu and saying that he's dumb and dumberer and stuff like that with Trump. But that has not always been his position. His thing is, oh, let me go ahead and kind of change who I've always been. He's always been pro-Israel. And let me drop this bomb on you. In October 2023, he actually went to Israel. And we all know with these trips to Israel, basically it's like a sponsored trip from Benjamin Netanyahu. So you can come over, he can tell you how great Israel is and, roll out the red carpet. So then you can go back and spread propaganda. Oh, allegedly, that's what those trips are all about. I mean, we see that he offered a trip to Charlie Kirk, right? Yeah. And I want to say something too, because there's a conversation about AIPAC, right? And I want to say this. AIPAC can only, I don't think they can only, but the only people that they donate to is congressional members. They don't donate to presidential candidates. A lot of people think they donate to presidents, but no, they don't. I know it's that one website like Total AIPAC or something like that, where they have people numbers and stuff like that. There was actually a TikToker who exposed okay, they put all those people on there, but actually what it is, like, for example, Kamala Harris, she didn't get money from AIPAC. Now, was there money from different Jewish PACs? Yes, there was money from different Jewish PACs, but she did not get money from AIPAC. Like, for example, one of her highest donors was J Street, and they donated over $6 million. However, J Street was one of the organizations, Jewish organizations, asking for a ceasefire. So it's all like, it's a struggle between, okay, are we saying that all Jewish people are bad? Or we're saying that people who specifically go around and spread Israel propaganda and try to manipulate our politics, are we saying those people are bad? Are we saying if you're Jewish, you're bad at all? Like, this is where the line, let me do a Gavin Newsom real quick with that. Yeah, this is where it gets tricky, because I don't want anybody just to be hated for who they are. It's what you do, not for who you are. But again, hit that like button, you guys. It was weird seeing Gavin Newsom really freeze up over something that was kind of simple. it wasn't like a hard question or anything like that. But to hear him kind of like, nah, it's interesting. And then he kind of, he fumbled all over this. And I just want to know, all those leftists, those purists out there, those purist leftists, are you going to have that same smoke for Gavin Newsom? Because y'all seem to only have it for black politicians. Oh, I said it. We going there. You know I ain't afraid of nobody. So again, y'all probably unsubscribe, but please subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Also, if you want to support or donate to the channel, you definitely can. You see the Cash App, PayPal, Venmo at the bottom right here. I love y'all for watching, but we out of here, y'all.